This podcast is brought to you by Rising Phoenix alongside the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games.
I know that I'm terrible at every other sport that I tried. I tried wheelchair basketball, I tried sledge hockey, and I have fun, but I am terrible. And it's true what they say about swimmers. They're only good in the water. Outside, they're pointless. Some of my closest friends, some of the most important people in my life I met through sport. And it made me who I am. So without it, I don't know where I would be. This life has given me so much joy and so much to be proud of that after all that I've been through as a kid, it's not even in a movie you could expect these kind of endings. And that's the magic of Paralympic sports.
This episode of What Does It Take is brought to you by P&G, a proud partner of the Paralympic movement. P&G believes in the power of the everyday champions who inspire us all. And we're excited to share the stories of athletes who embodied that spirit. Good morning, the world. Welcome to another episode of What Does It Take by Rising Phoenix. My name is Matt Stutzman, the armless archer. On this episode, we have Paralympic swimming legend Simone Barlaam, who joins us not as a winter athlete, but as a voice shaping Milano Cortina 2026. We talk medals, art, creativity, and legacy with one of Italy's most inspiring young leaders. Simone Barlaam, welcome to Rising Phoenix. What does it take?
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here and finally get to speak to a legend of our sport like yourself.
I don't know if a legend is the word I would use on myself at all. I'm just another guy living a dream. Before we get started, I want to ask you a question, though. And that question is, tell me about you. Who is Simone Barlaam?
An easy question. A very quick answer. Well, as you said, I'm a Paralympic swimmer. So I rarely go on the snow. I will go now to cheer for some friends of ours competing at the Winter Paralympic Games. But I've been on the international stage since 2017, and I participated in 2 Paralympic Games, in 2020 in Tokyo, at the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games. And I was lucky enough, blessed enough to bring home some medals, some gold ones as well, which is always an incredible honor and opportunity. Obviously, you need to work for it, but some luck is also there and needed most of the times. And now I'm here in Milan, my own city. Very excited for the games and to finally cheer as a spectator on the games and not having all the anxiety of being a guy who's gonna compete there. So I'm gonna enjoy.
You also are widely considered as one of the greatest Paralympic athletes ever. Did you know that? Yeah. I mean, 19 world titles. Just to put it in perspective with archery, I got like 2 world titles. You know, that's incredible. 19 world titles. Your first games was in Tokyo.
Yes.
Okay. And your second games was Paris.
Mm-hmm.
I also read that you play a big role in the Milano Cortina. Is it the organizing committee? Could you tell me just a little bit about that?
Well, if you say it's weird to hear yourself being called a legend, well, for me, it's even weirder to be called one of the greatest, whatever. And I think now we need to update because I never count my medals, but I think now after the last World Championship, I actually have 23 golds, which it's not to brag, but obviously in swimming, we have many events. So obviously it's a bit easier to get, not easier, but that's the wrong term, to get more medals. And as you can tell from my hoodie, of course, Milano Cortina, I'm involved as an ambassador, first of all. And before the games, I was drawing a lot for Milano Cortina social medias, which is a bit weird, but drawing has been my passion even before swimming. So I was drawing for some of their social media campaigns, etc., to make drawing comics, like small, easy comics, to make some process easier to understand, like how to become a volunteer, how to buy the tickets, how to, I don't know, where the games will be held, which area will have what sports. So that's what I did at first, and it was very cool, and they liked it. Apparently, the public liked it very much. And then we did some more storytelling comics, like one on to like that was talking about the story of the Italian sledge hockey team, which is very cool. And I got so many positive reviews from the members of the team, which was very special to me. And now I get to finally experience the games. Yeah.
It's interesting to me because you were born with a disability. And it's interesting because I was also born with a disability. And I can kind of see what my disability is. Looking at you on the screen right now, as you're sitting there, I can't really tell you. I see you have hands and stuff like that. So could you explain what your disability is?
Yes. So it's for not to get too much into medical terms, I have a shorter leg than the other. And so I have a lower limbs disability. And I have this prosthetic, which I call sometimes a big heel on the right leg. So most of my athletics performances are driven by my upper body, obviously. So quite the opposite, obviously, to your athletic performances. And so that's pretty much here. Yeah, my disability is under this table. Not very, you can't really see it much. But yeah, I was born with this 25 years ago now. So
do you think, knowing that, I have no arms, do you think I have what it takes to be a swimmer of your caliber?
Well, I think so. I mean, not now, because you've been spending all your life with archery. but there are some amazing, incredible swimmers with no arms. There's the example of an incredible Chinese athlete. He's an S6, I think, with no arms, and he broke multiple world records in the 50 freestyle. And it's incredible because he doesn't swim with a tech suit, without a race suit, without goggles, without a swimming cap. And somehow he manages to not even break the surface of the water with his head, with his bald head. So you also have that in common. I think that there could be potential.
It's speed. Get rid of the
speed.
Hair.
Exactly.
I'm planning already. Going back, that I read that you had 13 surgeries as a child. That's a lot of surgeries.
It is. It is a lot. And still crazy to think about that. But growing up, I've noticed, and I think I do strongly believe that when we're kids, we're way stronger than we are as an adult. Because from those days, I remember probably just the good, if you can call them like that, the good things. And they probably were harder on my parents and my family rather than me. And to connect again to the title, maybe now I would not have what it takes to get through all that as I did as a child. But it was obviously a pretty different childhood, but it got me to where I am today. So I really cannot complain, I think.
So 13 surgeries, that's a lot of time in a hospital.
Yes.
What did you do to pass your time?
Well, I initially played lots of video games. So I used to play on a Nintendo DS, and that didn't work out well, and it didn't last long because my heart rate was getting too high. So like all the machinery I was connected to went off, and it was alarming all the floor, and all the nurses and the doctors were super worried. So they said no more video games for you, and that's where I started drawing, and because I had to look for a hobby, it was a bit more chilled and relaxed and didn't get me so pumped up. So that's when I started drawing, and I realized that I kind of like this. So it's my kind of nirvana, and has been one of my big passions since then.
So video games got your heart rate up. Drawing brings it back down, and then swimming
Oh boy.
Gets it going again.
Yeah, swimming does it all.
So it's like this up and down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to see why you're one of the greatest to ever do it. You have a way to kind of separate the competition and the excitement and the adrenaline, and then you now have something that kind of brings you back down into more like would you say Zen?
I mean, I'm sure you can relate, and it's the same for you. But I've lived it on my own skin, on my own experience. Like if you get too worked up and on what you're doing, and you get that monopolize your life, it's easy to burn out and to feel overwhelmed. And by the end of the day, they're called Paralympic Games for a reason. There are games. You need to play with games. So obviously you need to be professional in what you're doing, but at the same time, you don't need to be 24/7 there with your head. That's not helpful. And that's what I think. And that's the approach that got me all the results I have today. And I think it's the same for you with your cars, etc., and everything else you have in your life. So I think you can relate to that.
I can. It's interesting because Paris, for me specifically, my mindset was not necessarily on trying to win a gold, but just to have a good time, perform my best, and spend time with my family. So I definitely understand why you would consider one of the greatest, because you have that off switch with art and drawing that you can actually, kind of tap into, and you're not just go on all the time with swimming. Because I feel for me, and maybe for you, that I think if you're on all the time with swimming, you can kind of get burnt out just a little bit. So it's awesome that you have that. I also read here that you spent a year in Australia competing against, was it able-bodied swimmers?
That's right, and I've lost my Australian accent that I had at the time, but yeah, it was an incredible year. I went there to learn English, to do my year 11 of high school, and to train as well. It was I left for Australia in July 2017. And a couple of months before, I just qualified for my first World Championships in Mexico City. So obviously I had to train, and I needed to train. And I found this club with my coach near Sydney, which was an able-bodied club, obviously, with able-bodied kids. And at the time, there was the legendary Ellie Cole from Australia training there as well. And for me, it was an incredible experience. I got to train with lots of high-level national able-bodied swimmer, and I did a couple of times as well in Italy when I came back. And it's quite motivating to start, I think, with a deficit, and it gets you very pumped to go and play catch with the people that have a little advantage on you. And I think it helped me. It was really motivating at the time for me.
Did you ever wonder, or through this whole process, do you ever think in your head, like, did you want to be the best Paralympic swimmer to ever exist, or did you just want to be the best swimmer in the world?
Well, damn. Well, neither of those, I think. When I started, I just liked it. And when I was 14, I think I was introduced to Paralympic sports. And there was this big group in Milan of swimmers that later on became some teammates of mine that were training at the time for the Rio Paralympics in 2016. And I was amazed by what they were doing, by their bodies, their muscles. They were beautiful, they were strong, they were fast, etc. And I was like, I would like to be like them one day, but I would have never expected to get where I am today. So it's, and I also think if you start with your mindset, oh, I want to be the best, the greatest, it's a wrong mindset. It's not gonna take you far. I think it's, you gotta do it. I mean, that's how I see it. You gotta do it because you liked it, because you love it. And then if you're blessed enough to meet the right people, to be in the right context, to express your talent, then you can really be satisfied in what you're doing, I think.
Why did you pick swimming? I feel like you're athletic. You could have done so much other things, but swimming specifically, what about it made you be like, that this is my sport?
Well, now I know that I'm terrible at every other sport that I tried. I tried wheelchair basketball, I tried sledge hockey, and I have fun, but I am terrible. And it's true what they say about swimmers. They're only good in the water. Outside, they're pointless. But initially, the reason why I picked swimming was that as a kid, I felt I felt this sense of freedom in the water. Obviously, outside, I wear a prosthetic leg that helps me go around, and I'm quite clumsy, quite slow on earth because I'm kind of a big guy. I'm like, I don't know the conversion, but I should be 6'2" or 6'3", something like that. And I'm very clumsy, very not elegant on the ground. While in the water, I was obviously without my prosthetic, and I felt very free, very agile, very quick, and felt like flying. So this kind of feeling of freedom really pushed me towards swimming and to chase those emotions and feelings that are not even related to medals. That kind of aspect of the sport came later on in my career.
Who was your leading influence? Because you've kind of up to this point in your life, you've been through a lot. You're trying to understand as a kid what you're going to do. Then you found swimming. And we all know that can't happen without influence and support. Who was that for you?
Well, there were many people that really helped me. And funny enough, in 2012, before I even got into parasports, like the athletes that I've seen were Alex Zanardi, the Italian legendary Formula One driver, and then cyclist, and yourself as well, which I think were one of the most, I think also viral and known Paralympians in the world, even to people that might not know your name, but I think almost everyone saw what you were doing, which was, that's why I'm very excited today to get to speak to you, because I think I never bumped into you in the villages around between Paris and Tokyo. But then obviously all the swimmers I was telling you about that I got to see when I was like 14, they were already in their prime and they were preparing for their games. They all really motivated me, and I think every single one of them left something like in me. Like Federico Morlacchi, for example, he was like a big brother for me, and I also won a tied gold medal in a world championship with him, which was crazy in 2019. And there was the legendary Matthew Cowdrey from Australia, Brendan Hall from Australia as well, Nathalie Dutoit, the other Paralympic swimmer from South Africa, incredible, Sophie Pascoe from New Zealand, which I got to meet. So I'm that type of person that tends to get inspiration from everything, and I think each individual has something to teach you, and even if they have nothing to do with your craft, I think there's something to learn from each human, because each one of us lives a different experience on this planet. So there's something to learn from everyone, and that's what I tried to do. At the beginning of my career, and I still do, to try to improve myself, because as humans, we're not perfect, obviously.
So let's go back to swimming. After you found swimming, what do you think it took to actually make it to a Paralympics?
Oh, well, it took lots and lots of laps for sure. And
how many laps? Let's talk about training for just like a little bit. Give me a brief description of a training day for you. Just let's say in a paragraph.
At the peak of the training regimen in throughout the year would be wake up around 6:30 for the first swimming session, which will be around 7:30. Then 2 hours, 2.5 swimming. Then you hit the gym, another hour or so, hour and a half, depends how much break you take between sets, between rounds. Then go home, lunch, have a little nap. Power nap is a crucial part of the training schedule. And then back to the pool at 5 for another training session. Finish at around 7:30, go home, dinner, relax a little bit, and just then collapse in bed. So it would be 2 swimming sessions a day and 1 gym session, not every day for the gym. So it would be around 12 swimming sessions a week and 3 to 4 gyms. And kilometers wise would be, I think, around a marathon and a half, like between 60 to 70 kilometers a week, which I don't know in the American system. I don't know how to translate that, but it's a lot. It's a lot of yards of whatever.
Oh my goodness. So how many, just because I need to know, what kind of calories are you burning a day?
Oh boy.
What do you have to eat to stay like, without losing weight or muscle? That's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
man. It is. Anything that comes on the plate, just put a little Parmesan on it, some olive oil, and it's good to go. But yeah, it's important to keep your calories up with such a demanding sport. It demands swimming a lot of calories, a lot of the metabolism burns so much. So the most important thing is to have enough energy to train through the day. So I haven't checked my calories. Like I don't count my calories, but like I don't even know if in English that's the way you say it, but my basal metabolism. So the minimum amount of calories I need to just live. If I stood laying down for 24 hours, we did the calculation and it's 2,300 calories. So it's a lot just for that. Then if you add like 5 hours of swimming, 1.5 of gym, I would say around maybe 5,000. I don't know. It's a lot. Like for lunch, I would have usually 400 grams of pasta, almost like raw pasta, almost half a kilo, and it would go down so easily. But
obviously, you have everything leading up to Tokyo for you with eating proper, training like crazy. You have people in your corner who are pushing you to make you be the best. Your breakout year was Tokyo, which happened to be during COVID, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
You won 4 medals during that games?
Yes. 1 gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze.
What about that games do you think was the thing that clicked for you to make it your breakout games?
It's a tough question because Tokyo was a pretty strange experience for me. Obviously, it was my first game, but as you know, with COVID, everything was a bit different. And that's why Paris 2024 was a second first game to me. So going to Tokyo 2020, my head wasn't in the best place because I was a little bit, like I said before, I was too focused in doing everything right. And somehow it's, I don't want to sound ungrateful when I say this, but I felt like I underperformed during Tokyo. But obviously, I came back with 4 medals, so I can't really complain. But maybe if I would have been in the right mindset, I could have been a bit better and could have did a little bit better. But that experience was very important to me to learn that, as I said before training hard and giving to your craft everything you have, it's crucial to enjoy what you do. Like, enjoy it, don't overthink it, don't get too caught up in what you do, because it's important to take it seriously, but at the same time, don't take yourself too seriously. Like, give yourself a break every once in a while. But yeah, Tokyo was, I hope, a unique experience for all of us with the COVID and the bubble and everything. But it's, I'm grateful it happened because it really helped me shape myself as an athlete and as a more mature human being. So it was a pivotal point in my life.
So your next games after that was Paris.
Yes.
And Paris was a completely different games compared to Tokyo.
Definitely.
And for you, what happened? How many medals did you win? Your mindset around Paris, how was that?
Well, it was always 4 medals, but 3 gold and 1 silver this time. So a little upgrade from Tokyo. Well, the mindset was completely different. I was a bit more relaxed. And obviously, we had the public, the crowd. We were next to our place because in France, Italy they're very close to each other. So all my family was there, all my friends, and the French people did an amazing job. The organizing committee was the swimming pool every day was sold out. Every day was packed with people, 17,000 people, which is not something that happens every day. We're not used to it. We're more used, unfortunately, to empty arenas rather than packed arenas, cheering for you, cheering against you as well, which was quite cool, especially when you were competing against French swimmers. And Paris, yeah, it took me a little bit to realize and what happened and how big was everything. I think everything hit me maybe 10 months after the game. I don't know if I was even looking at a picture. I was like, "Oh, damn! That did really happen. There really was something."
So, just to put the listeners to put this in perspective on this next question, but in archery, we shoot at a target that's 50 meters away.
Wow!
I shoot 6 arrows, and then after those 6 arrows are shot, I walk to the target and I pull the arrows, and then we walk back and we do it again. It takes me roughly 30, let's say 40 seconds to walk those 50 meters. And you have swam 50 meters and you broke the 24-second mark.
Yeah.
That is, okay. That's flying in the water.
Well,
what game was it at? A Games or World Championships?
That was in Paris. The first time was in 2023 at World Champs, and the second time was in Paris in front of that crowd. So you can imagine how special it was. But if I was to walk 50 meters, I would be way slower than swimming. So I'll be around your time, 50 seconds, something like that.
So you could swim faster. So maybe we shoot over a pool, right? So when you're practicing, you just swim to the other end, and I'll let you help me pull my arrows, and you can swim back, and we can both get some training in.
That'd be cool. A mixed event. I don't know how long it takes you from when you pick up your bow, pull the arrow, and shoot, but maybe we could race on that.
What do you think you would say as far as helped you with the mental strength that you developed through the years of pain, the surgeries, the resilience it takes, to become one of the best athletes in the world?
Well, I wish there was an easy answer to that, and probably there isn't. I mean, I did work on myself a lot with a sports psychologist, and with her, her name is Michaela. I worked not only on the sport aspect, but everything else also outside of sport in my life, because that always connected. Your personality outside of your sport is definitely the same personality you have when you're doing your craft, your sport. So I think, well, first of all, understanding and accepting your weakness on what you thought were weakness. So once you admit to yourself that you're not the best and you have some sides that works better for you and some sides that are a bit more complicated to work on, once you admit that to yourself, it's easy. I mean, that's the hardest part, to tell the world and yourself that there's a problem. Once you find the courage to speak up about what's tormenting you or what's going on in your mind with someone else, that really helped me. Like sharing, it makes the burden you have on your shoulder a bit lighter. You can't keep it up by yourself. So sharing it is really helpful for me, and I think it is for everyone. That's what made the difference for me.
Do you think that you can use that as motivation for LA?
I hope so. I do hope so. I know I still have lots to give, and obviously there's still much time for the LA 2028 games, so anything can happen. But I want to keep trying to improve myself, work on my craft, and see where it takes me. But I still have many aspects where I can improve, I think.
You have in your information I was reading about you that you have activism for a wider disabled community. Share that with us just a little bit.
Well, when I entered the Paralympic sports, was fortunate enough to be not raised, but to be surrounded by people that invest so much of their lives on Paralympic sport. Not even athletes, like even coaches and a staff member without a disability, and they did that when Paralympic sport wasn't the platform that it is now, just for the sake of helping people, of giving to others. Like my club, which I compete for, Pola Varese, has been a Paralympic club with many different sports and just para sports since the 80s, I think. So it's quite a long time. I wasn't even an idea in the 80s. So probably my parents didn't even knew each other. And so it is that kind of made me realize that we don't do it just for the medals and everything, but the most important part of the medal is when you go home, you see your like Instagram or your social media, and you see all those messages from families, from little kids with disability that are like, "Oh, after I saw you, I want to start a sport, to swim, and I'm not afraid to show the world my disability." And that's a win-win situation for the person, obviously, but also for society, because that little kid with disability growing up more confident in his body, her body, in what they do, is more likely to enter the social community, to have friends, to go to school, to go to university, and to be actually an important part in our society, rather than just someone on a chair that sits at home all day. So that's why Paralympic sport is so important, not just for the well-being of your physique, obviously, because it's sport. That's the wellness of your body is the most important thing, but also for the society and the change. And that's what I try to do on my little platform. I try to express those meanings, and I would love to someday actually be able to make a change, even a stronger change in the way we see Paralympic sport, and to try to get as many people as possible involved.
You have a role as an ambassador for the 2026 Milano Cortina Games, which happens to be the 50th anniversary, and it's in your home country, right? So
Yeah.
let's dive into that. Tell me about your role as an official ambassador.
I get to promote the events. I get to experience the games a little bit on the obviously as a spectator, cheering for my friends, and then trying to spread the message. Obviously, there's nothing that can impact the society like, as I said before, a medal or a home game. A home game is an incredible way to impact the society. So, for example, now all the subway, the metro stop in the city in Milan have an elevator, especially the one in front of my house, which didn't have like before the games. And that's the most important part of the games as well, the legacy that it leaves to the city, to his community. So I really hope that with these games, the Italian Winter Paralympic community is going to grow even more. And so that's what I try to do. I try to get as many people involved in these games as well, as a promoter, as an ambassador, especially the ones that have nothing to do with disability, because these kind of change starts from them as well, I think. And I'm quite sure actually about it, because of all the people I've met that got into Paralympic sport, that kind of opened their mind and their heart to these movements.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why you do workshops to help with bringing that awareness?
Yeah, absolutely. I had the chance to do some artistic workshops with so many kids. I did one in Switzerland at the Olympic Museums, and where each kid had to cut their own snowflakes. And since each snowflake is different, that was the message. Each one was different, and with those colored snowflakes, we had to do the rings and the Paralympic agitos, and it was very cool because many kids knew the rings and less knew the agitos, the Paralympic symbols, and they learned that day, and it was quite cool because there was obviously there everything was in French, and I'm a bit rusty in my French, so I wasn't the best speaker sometimes. If we get the future generation excited about parasport, it's going to be automatically that the future is going to be brighter for us. It's going to be automatically.
What are you hoping the legacy of the Paralympic winter movement will bring to Italy?
We are a country that has a big culture for winter sports. Obviously, we're surrounded by the Alps and snow and mountains in general. So I hope that it's going to be easier for a kid or with disability that wants to just go ski to do, because it's common obviously with young kids as well. They were like, okay, they go like, let's go on the weekend for our skiing weekend in the Alps. And if you have a friend with disability, it might be not that easy to find a place that has like the sitting equipment for the skiing, or if you don't have your own monoski, etc. So I think that, I hope that these games will make it more accessible. And also, speaking about hockey, we don't have obviously many venues for hockey in Italy. So I hope that through the Paralympic Games, those tiny venues become more accessible for Paralympians, and also not Paralympians, but whoever with a disability wants to start and play sledge hockey. That's what I really hope is going to happen. So to make parasport more accessible and more known in general, and just make our platform bigger also for the fan base and the audience.
What's your opinion on the kind of like the parents of a child with a disability and what you would tell them to that child? Because for me, I feel like a lot of it kind of starts with the parents.
That's 100% true. I agree. And I'm not a father or anything, but I'm sure that parenting is one of the hardest and most rewarding jobs on the planet. And I can just speak by the experience I had with my parents. They were always they gave me much freedom, lots of freedom. So as long as I wasn't in danger, or I was doing something stupid, I could try anything I wanted, and they treated me with the most normal approach, which I think is the best way to do. So, because if you need to give confidence to a kid with a disability, you need to give them a way to believe in their own abilities, and it's important that kids learn how this world works by themselves. Obviously, that doesn't mean that as a parent you don't have to do nothing. Obviously not, but to make them live their experiences.
For people who are coming from all over the world and they are coming to Milano Cortina for the first time, what besides sports are you going to be like, maybe you should check out this, maybe you should check out that? What is it? The food? Is it the wine? Is it the art? Is it all of it?
I mean, it is all of it. I wouldn't recommend wine because I'm not a great drinker, so probably my recommendation would have zero value. But food is a big part. In Milan, there's great food, and I think between all the different type of cuisine around Italy can be overrated, because you think just of risotto, but it's the hometown of panettone, of mondeghini, which are these fried meatballs, which are very good, I think, and the art. There's much to see, and there's lots of hidden gems around the cities, I think, in the north of Italy, but in all our boots in general.
One of the things that I think is amazing about the games, and you talk about buildings, is that the Winter Paralympics opening ceremonies isn't in a coliseum.
It's in a similar one. It's in the Arena di Verona, which is in Verona, in this very old, ancient Roman kind of Colosseum theater. Yes, and that's another thing. Talking about legacy, Paralympic legacy, like making such an old venue accessible for so many para athletes is not an easy job. It's not an easy task. But if they're able to do it, I think it's that the fact that buildings are old is not an excuse anymore for them not to be accessible, because that's something we heard so many times. So those buildings are 800 years old and there's not much we can do about it. Oh, there is, without even damaging the building or the art itself. So that's another very cool thing about these games that I'm very excited about.
You are a torchbearer. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I need to understand a little bit about the torch-bearing responsibilities. Did you get to keep the torch? How far did you carry the torch? From where to where?
I wish I didn't get to keep the torch.
Oh man,
I wish it would have been here, like in the background, if I did, and got to walk around 200-300 meters, which is okay. As I said before, I'm not a fast walker. I don't like to walk so much. So if it was about swimming with the torch, I would have been fine for kilometers, way more. But it's obviously an incredible experience. But with you being anxious not to drop it, or the flame lights up and everything, it's very strong emotions.
What did you take away from the honor of being selected or chosen to be a torchbearer?
Well, you realize how old this kind of tradition is, because it's something that obviously when you're competing as an athlete, you're there in the village and you just think about what you need to do, what time you need to get up the next day, what you need to have for lunch. But being there as a torchbearer, you realize that this is bigger than you, and it's a symbol, but it's actually very, very cool. And also logistically speaking, thinking that the same flame was light up in Greece and now is coming to Milan, I think is very cool. And you get to leave the city, you get to feel the warmth of the people around you, and it is also cool because you're not fundamental, but you're crucial for the beginning of the games, because without you, obviously there's going to be someone else probably carrying the torch, but without each single one of the torch bearers, the torch wouldn't light up and the Olympics and the Paralympics wouldn't start. So it is very cool.
It's actually interesting to think about how the whole world kind of comes together for these moments. I always felt it was always special time for me when I was at a Paralympics, because I felt during that time, everybody was there, yes, as competitors, but we all got along. We all loved each other. We were all there for sport. So we're going to wrap it up. We're running out of time. I could talk to you for hours. I got so many questions, but I do have a question for you, and that is, what has your sport given you, and where would you be without it?
Oh boy. Well, an easy question to wrap it up. Hey, come on now. Well, it gave me everything. It gave me everything because some of my closest friends, some of the most important people in my life, I met through sport, and it made me who I am. So without it, I don't know where I would be. Well, might have been a bit smarter. Maybe I would have a degree or something, but maybe I would have been less fit. I don't know. It's interesting to see, but I wouldn't change it a bit, because this life has given me so much joy and so much to be proud of, that after all that I've been through as a kid, it's really the best way I could even ask for. Like, not even in a movie you could expect these kind of endings, and that's the magic of Paralympic sports.
It's interesting. We talk about summer, we talk about winter, Paralympic sports, and the one thing that we do have in common is that the sports have given us a purpose, and it gives us something to chase. It gives us something to live for, and I think that's pretty special. In one word, what does it take to do what you do?
One word, or quick to the point? Because that's a big difference.
Quick to the point.
Lots of passion. Without that, you're not going far away, especially in a boring sport like swimming.
When you decide to hang up the goggles and call it a quits on your career, I can only imagine, how many medals you will have. But I think you need to take an iconic picture like Michael Phelps did with your hands out with all your medals on them, because I think that would be extremely impressive. Before we wrap up, there is something that I would like to play with you. It is a game. And because I know you are very much a competitor at heart and you love competing, I've been doing this game with every athlete that comes on. The rules are pretty simple. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. The quickest amount of time that you can answer these questions is what I'm looking for. So basically, there's no hesitation. Don't overthink it. And there's no skipping.
Okay.
We call the game Zero Chill.
Damn.
Yeah. We're just throwing it out there. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is Zero Chill with Simone Barlaam. One part of Italy everyone should visit.
Abruzzo.
One Italian food that everyone should try.
Pasta al pomodoro.
Espresso or cappuccino?
Cappuccino all day long.
Spaghetti, linguine, or tortellini?
Spaghetti.
One thing viewers will love about the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games.
The excitement.
If you could compete in a Winter Paralympic sport, which one are you choosing?
Sledge hockey.
One thing you do to relax when you're not training.
Drawing, easy one.
Your hype song before a race.
Music, thinking about what I need to do, many things.
Your pre-race ritual or superstition.
Don't have any.
One word. What do the Paralympics mean to you?
Everything.
And finally, what does it take to be your best?
To do your best. I don't know if that answers.
That's perfect. You did perfectly good. Listen, I want to say, thank you so much for your time being on the show. I know everybody that's listening is going to be kind of awestruck by what you've completed and who you are and what you've done, not only in the swimming, but in the art world. And thank you so much for being an ambassador of the Paralympics, even though you are a summer athlete but you are now carrying it over into the winter sport. I think that's huge. I think that's amazing. Please don't stop doing what you do. I'm hoping that I get to see you in LA, and I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks to you. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you in LA and to get that hug or handshake because I'm quite confident I'll end up being the fastest one.
that was pretty good. That was I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty quick.
But thank you again. It's been an incredible honor chatting with you, and it doesn't happen every day. So thank you again.
And cut. And you've been listening to What Does It Take, a podcast brought to you by Rising Phoenix, alongside the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games. If you like what you've listened to and want to know more about Rising Phoenix, check out the details in our show notes. This is a Harder Than You Think production. This episode is brought to you by P&G, a proud partner of the Paralympic movement.